Yo, 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 we are back at it again. Happy Sunday fun day. Hopefully you guys are, sweating your lineups. Maybe a couple of you guys are in contention for a significant amount of cash, but there's a two-game doubleheader for Monday Night Football tomorrow. I thought I'd break that down real quick. So let's get into it. First, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Washington football team. First, I'm going to start talking about Terry McLaurin. Since Alex Smith took over for Kyle Allen after that gruesome ankle injury, he has a 24% target share, averaging over 8 targets while catching 6 of those on average. If you're playing over on DK, that's a quick 6 points just on receptions. However, he's only scored a touchdown one time in those 4 weeks of work with Alex Smith. So up and down, but as far as touchdowns go, but he's been a staple of consistency relatively all year. Hard not to have interest on a 2-game slate when your options are picking from 4 teams. He's technically questionable right now, but he's going to more than likely tough it out and play. Another Washington football team member you would want to consider for your lineup is Antonio Gibson. He has 7 touchdowns in his last 4 games. Specifically, he's been racking up rushing yards in his last 2 games, averaging 104.5 yards those 2 contests. He had a significant rushing volume come his way as of late, but he's also averaging 4 targets per game as well with Alex Smith under center, so that's another positive. Going against the number 1 defense in the league, however, with the stingy run defense could lower expectations, but like I said, with only 4 teams to pick from, he's certainly a good option at running back. No breaking news right there, but a little in-depth breakdown. And then I want to discuss Alex Smith a little bit. Could be a lower-owned quarterback play with Josh Allen and Big Ben on this slate. Certainly could surprise people. Wouldn't be surprised if somehow he ends up being in the winning lineup. That's how DFS goes. It is gambling in a way, strategically and statistically driven gambling, but as is a lot of gambling. But however, with Big Ben and Josh Allen on this slate, it's really hard to prioritize or to want to risk a lot on Alex Smith, especially, like I said, against that extremely good Pittsburgh Steelers defense. J.D. Mckissick, he used to be worth mentioning. He had 29 targets in weeks 9 through 10 combined. However, he only had 6 combined in the last 2 weeks. Antonio Gibson dominating the carries, so I don't see many carries for Mckissick. And unless you're banking on that highly unlikely 15, 16 target game from Mckissick, he's just not playable. But if you want to gamble and hopefully hit the lottery with him, that's kind of how these showdown slates are won. With only 4 teams on the slate, if it's a really generic night of football, you're going to just chalk or split up that first place prize with a bunch of people, and you're all going to come away with like a sliver of what was intended to be the first prize. It usually typically breaks away like some 4th string wide receiver or a backup tight end or backup or 3rd string running back somehow scores a touchdown or 2 that is just, you just can't predict these type of things. So that's usually how these smaller slates are determined, but good plays are good plays, bad plays are bad plays. Moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, Big Ben, obviously him and Josh Allen are your top 2 options at quarterback for this one. However, Nick Mullins and Alex Smith are obviously going to be lesser owned kind of punt play quarterbacks on a slate like this. However, the biggest puzzle when rostering Big Ben and the Steelers is trying to determine the pass catcher who's actually going to have the big game. Will it be 1 receiver? Can he concentrate enough work to have it be 2 receivers? Well, obviously he can. They throw the ball a ton, so much that pretty much all 3 of their top receivers are averaging nearly 10 targets a game. However, we have seen Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool be the ones who've gotten the extremely high target games, like 15, 16 type targets. Juju has kind of been more sporadically targeted. However, he did score the most last week, which kind of makes it even more confusing. He's been sporadic, up and down. Don't know what to make of it, but you can't forget that Juju Smith-Schuster was the generic stack with Big Ben coming into the year, and they were supposed to be a pretty big, pretty good duo this year. And Deontay Johnson has taken a lot of his workload and consistency. And it certainly seems like Big Ben's favorite target is, in fact, Deontay Johnson, and that's probably who I lean towards in this matchup. He kind of had an off week last week based off his usual production, but I think he gets back on track against Washington, and that's my priority as far as stacking somebody with Big Ben. And then there's Benny Snell. James Conner is going to miss this game. Expect another heavy workload for Benny Snell. The Steelers are likely to be ahead and dictating this game. Snell is probably my RB1 on this two-game slate. It's probably him and then a combination, kind of a toss-up between Antonio Gibson or Mostert. But Mostert, I don't know. He's coming back from a layoff of a couple games from an injury. I could see them getting behind from the Buffalo Bills, and then I don't know about that. But nonetheless, Benny Snell looks like a great spot, a great position to maybe get a touchdown or two near the goal line. James Conner's out. There was some Anthony McFarland Jr. steam, but he didn't really get many carries or touches at all, so he's not even really worth mentioning, in my opinion. And then the final person I'm going to mention from the Steelers is Eric Ebron. When you look at Draftkings or Fanduel, he's the number one tight end option. Obviously, he sticks out like a sore thumb because tight end is relatively weak this season in general, and on the slate, it's even worse. However, he does get 7.5 targets on average his last 4 games. He scored 2 touchdowns in those 4 games, so pretty much every other game, making him a nice play. However, when you're trying to determine what tight end to pick, it gets kind of confusing with the Steelers because Snell, Roethlisberger, Claypool, Johnson, Juju, Ebron, even the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, they all look really, really good on this slate, and you can only play so many people from one team. So it makes it even more confusing. You got to really not only be right on choosing to stack the Steelers in general, but you also have to narrow it down to the exact right players from that team. And there's so many to pick from that are actually good plays. So it kind of makes it a little more confusing. And the second game is the Buffalo Bills and the San Francisco 49ers. Josh Allen, like I said, him or Ben Roethlisberger, number one quarterback option on this slate, obviously. Let's see. John Brown is going to miss. So really, you're trying to stack him with the clear-cut favorite, obviously, Stephon Diggs. He's their number one by far. There's also Gabe Davis and Cole Beasley. So kind of similar situation to the Steelers, where you got to get exactly right on who you specifically want to stack Josh Allen with. However, it's more defined the number one dog on that team. Obviously going to be Steph Diggs. It's just whether you're going to want to add another one or not. For the backfield for the Bills, it seems like Zach Moss and Devin Singletary are literally 50-50. So I'm not really getting there unless I have to. If I have to, and it's like my last guy in when I'm building one of these lineups, probably going to figure out who's the less owned guy and just go with him. As far as the 49ers, not much to like. You got Nick Mullins in quarterback. Like I said, you got Mostert coming back. He missed a couple games off of injury, but he had, I believe, 16 carries last week, but only 40-some yards. He did have a touchdown. You can see him having a nice first drive or two, maybe getting some momentum and a touchdown, but I just really don't see the 49ers competing where they keep pounding the rock. They're going to have to throw, and Mullins is probably going to turn the ball over, which also makes the Buffalo Bills defense really, really in play. One thing to keep in note, Smith-Schuster, I apologize. Deebo Samuel came back after a couple-week absence himself from a hamstring, I believe it was, and he racked up 133 yards on over 10 targets last week. So if you're looking for a decent wide receiver, he's certainly somebody to keep your eye on after you determine who you want to go with as far as Pittsburgh and probably Stephon Diggs. So it's just a quick wrap up on how I'm seeing this Monday night showdown, and hope it was significantly beneficial for you guys. If it was, maybe subscribe, like, help me grow this new channel that I just started about a week ago. But if you look at my first video to now, you can see significant improvements, and that's really all I'm trying to do. So hope the rest of your Sunday goes well. Maybe you're in this Sunday night football showdown with the Chiefs and the Broncos. Going to be Pat Mahomes, but yeah, hopefully good luck if you're playing that, and enjoy your night. And until next one, peace out.